The invisible enemy. Have you ever noticed something strange? Starting takes 5 seconds, yet some people spend 5 years trying to begin. They don't lack talent, they don't lack dreams, they don't even lack time. So what exactly are they waiting for? Think about your own life. How many plans are buried inside old notebooks? How many goals are still waiting inside your phone's notes? How many versions of yourself promised, "I'll start tomorrow," and never came back? What's painful isn't that the plan failed. It's that every failed plan leaves something behind. A scar, a tiny crack in the way you see yourself. Because every time you break a promise to yourself, your brain remembers. It starts whispering something dangerous. Maybe I'm just not the kind of person who finishes things. A philosopher once wrote, "We become what we repeatedly do." But there's another truth hiding beneath that. We become what we repeatedly avoid. And here's the biggest lie you've been told. People say you don't succeed because you're lazy. Others say you need more discipline. Some tell you to wait until you feel motivated. None of them are the real reason. The truth is much more uncomfortable. Your plan was never designed to survive real life. It was designed to survive a perfect day. And perfect days don't exist. But that isn't even the biggest mistake, because hidden inside your brain, there's a psychological trap that silently destroys almost every plan before you write the very first word. Once you see it, you'll never look at planning the same way again. The real enemy isn't fear of failure. You know what's strange? Most people say they're afraid of failing, but that's almost never the real fear. Because failure can be fixed. You can try again, you can learn, you can improve. So why do so many people never even take the first step? Because the human brain isn't terrified of failure. It's terrified of finding out who you really are. Think about it. As long as the dream stays inside your head, it stays perfect. You can imagine writing the book, starting the business, building the YouTube channel, learning the skill. In your imagination, you're already capable. But the moment you begin, imagination collides with reality. And reality asks a question most people spend years trying to avoid. What if I'm not as good as I thought? That possibility hurts more than failure itself. Because failure attacks what you did. But beginning can feel like it attacks who you are. That's why people stay in preparation mode. Watching another video, buying another notebook, making another perfect plan, waiting for Monday, waiting for next month. Not because they're getting ready, but because preparation protects the fantasy. As long as you never start, your potential can never be disproved. And strangely, that feels safe. But every day you delay, something invisible begins to happen. Your brain quietly rewrites your identity. Every promise you don't keep becomes evidence. Evidence that you can't trust yourself. But here's the twist almost nobody talks about. Your brain was never trying to destroy your future. It was trying to protect you. Protect you from uncertainty, from embarrassment, from rejection, from discovering uncomfortable truths. And that's where everything changes. Because once you understand how your brain makes that decision, you stop fighting yourself and start working with yourself. And the science behind that is even more fascinating. Let's look inside the brain. Your brain was never designed to start. Have you ever wondered why? The closer something matters, the harder it becomes to begin? It seems backwards. A 5-minute task, you can start instantly. But the business that could change your life, the YouTube channel you've dreamed about, the book you've wanted to write for years, somehow, those are the hardest. Why? Because your brain isn't asking, "Can I do this?" It's asking, "Can I survive this?" Long before you think logically, another part of your brain has already made a decision. It scans for uncertainty, for rejection, for failure, for embarrassment, for pain. And if the future looks blurry, it pulls the emergency brake. Not because you're weak, but because uncertainty feels like danger. And here's the cruel part. The longer you wait, the scarier starting becomes. Because your imagination begins writing stories that reality never did. What if I fail? What if people laugh? What if I'm not good enough? Notice something. None of those are facts, they're predictions. And the brain treats predictions like memories. It feels the pain before anything has even happened. But something incredible happens. The moment you take one small action, your brain receives new evidence. Maybe this isn't as dangerous as I thought. That tiny action does something motivation never could. It reduces uncertainty, and every step after that becomes just a little easier. Scientists call this reducing cognitive load. Your brain loves certainty. The clearer the next step, the less energy it wastes deciding. But here's the twist. Knowing why you're afraid to start doesn't make you start. Awareness changes nothing. Action does. The question isn't, how do I become fearless? The real question is, how do I make starting easier than avoiding? Rule number 1, shrink the first step until fear looks ridiculous. Most people think, dream bigger. No, dream big. Start microscopic. Your brain isn't afraid of writing a book. It's afraid of sitting alone, staring at a blank page, not knowing if the next sentence will be good enough. So don't tell yourself, I'm going to write a chapter. Tell yourself, I'm going to write one sentence. Starting is the hardest door. Once it's open, walking becomes easier. Rule number 2, build a system your worst day can follow. Here's the mistake almost everyone makes. They build plans for the version of themselves that's motivated. But motivation is a terrible employee. It shows up late, leaves early, and never works weekends. So stop asking, what would I do on my best day? Ask, what can I still do on my worst day? Can you read one page? Do one push-up? Write 50 words? Walk for 5 minutes? Perfect. Because consistency doesn't come from heroic effort. It comes from lowering the cost of showing up. Rule number 3, decide before the battle starts. Most people make decisions at exactly the wrong moment. When they're tired, distracted, emotional. That's when the brain chooses comfort, not growth. So decide before emotions get involved. If I feel like skipping, I will work for just 5 minutes. If I get distracted, I will put my phone in another room. If I miss one day, I never miss 2. Psychologists call these implementation intentions. Less thinking, more doing. Rule number 4, stop chasing motivation. Change your identity. This might be the biggest shift of all. Don't ask, how can I become someone who writes? Start saying, I am a writer. Because identity changes behavior. Every action becomes evidence. You don't exercise because you're motivated. You exercise because that's what healthy people do. The more evidence you collect, the less your old identity can survive. Rule number 5, measure proof, not perfection. One mistake ruins thousands of dreams. People measure outcomes instead of consistency. I only lost 1 kilogram. My channel only has 200 subscribers. I've only written 10 pages. Wrong scoreboard. Ask instead, did I show up today? Because outcomes are delayed. Identity is immediate. Every day you keep your word, you're casting another vote for the person you're becoming. Success isn't built on one extraordinary moment. It's built on ordinary moments, repeated long enough that they become extraordinary. So why are you afraid to start? Maybe you never were one day. You'll look back at this version of yourself and you'll realize the hardest step was never the second or the 100th. It was the first 5 seconds. The 5 seconds between fear and action. So don't wait until you feel confident. Start.